My friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works metal shop. My friends from Tesmen sent me this voltage tester to review and do a short video on. I did that several months ago, and this thing has found its way into my toolbox. In other words, my little electrical toolkit that I carry on my belt. This thing has found its way in there. I keep it right there. It is a very good tool, and just so you know the model and everything, this is a TN213. I have it on the products I use page of my website. So if you go to www.rosastringworks.com, then you'll find this on the products I use page. Now, they have sent me a brand new tool to test out, and I'm going to give it a fair review. These are wire strippers. I have not used them yet. I have played with them a little bit just to get familiar with them, but I haven't actually used them in practice yet. Now these wire strippers are automatic, so they'll fit any size wire, but the real difference in these is that it has a button here. If you press this, listen. Okay, now this button is a voltage detector. It will detect voltage. So here's the cord going to the camera. So let's just see if it detects anything. Well, honestly, there it is. So it actually is not detecting anything in that cord. Now here's a cord going to this charger. Let's see if it detects anything there. Now it is detecting power there. So I don't know why it missed it on this cord here, but I'm going to give it a fair review. I'm not going to fake anything. Well, it's picking it up now. So I would say the thing about the voltage tester is you want to be a little careful of that. I'm not so sold on this feature. Now here's the other problem with this feature. See this button? This button extends out past flush. So when you lay this down, I'm just going to lay it down on a flat table here. In fact, I'll turn the camera down to show you what I'm doing, just so you can see I'm not doing any trickery. If I lay it down like that, sometimes it turns on its own. A little bit of trash there. Well, it won't do it right now, but I've had it turn on its own a couple of times when I lay it down. Because this thing here actually hits sometimes. See there, it did. If you lay it down a little bit hard, it can turn on. And then if you lay it down again, it'll turn it off. But see, if you hold that for just a second, it'll turn on. So that's, in my opinion, I got to be honest, that's a negative. I don't like that, but I have not used them as a stripper yet, so it may change my opinion once I use them as a stripper. I've got a project on the workbench right now that requires stripping a wire. Now, it's in a kind of a hard place to get to, and these are fairly big, so let's see if they'll get in there and do the job. I don't know if you can see these wires or not, but they're down in here. I don't have real good lighting in here, I'm sorry, but I'm going to test. Now these strippers do have a depth gauge, so like you can push this button and slide this in and out to the depth of cut you want, or stripping that you want. That looks good to me, so I'm just going to try that right there, and then we'll get in here and see how well it works. I push it up to the depth gauge, push the button, bingo, look there, it stripped it right off perfectly. It really did a nice job. That was the very first time I've tried using it. I didn't know if it would work or not. Worked great. And this is big, thick, heavy wire, by the way. This is at least number 10 strand braided wire. I'm sure it's at least number 10. And let's push it in there again, up to the stop, and pulled it off, and it did a perfect job. So in terms of stripping, right now I'd say these things are awesome. Let's just try some other wire. Here's the other ends. And they're going to need to be stripped also, and we need to cut this off. Now there's a little wire cutter right here on this, so wow, the wire cutter works great. The wire cutter actually works really good. So let's try the stripping here where you can see it better. And you can see I'm running it into the depth. Pull it like that, bingo, it pulled it right off. Now I didn't strip very much off there. I could always strip a little more off if I wanted to. So let's strip the other one a little bit deeper. First of all, well, this other one's kind of messed up too. So I'm going to cut it off also. Get it up here where you can see it. And let's zoom it in just a little bit more. And so we'll try this cutter right there. Cuts it off slick as snot, man. It cuts it off really well. Now let's try the stripper here. The stripper's great. It works great. So in terms of stripping wire, I'd say this thing is a win, 100% win. It might find its way in my toolbox just because of that. Now I've had this type before. And the very first pair I got of these, not the same brand, you know, it wasn't Tesmen, but the ones I had when I first started working on wiring, I really liked them a lot. They were automatic. I got another pair, I didn't care for them much. This pair works like the first pair. This pair works good. This is quality tool in terms of stripping. Let's find a different gauge wire. Let's find a little thin wire. I'll show you that here in just a second. Okay, I've got some real thin wire, and I'm going to cut it off first, see how well it cuts off the thin wire. Just slick as it can cut it off. And then I've got a medium wire here. This is probably like a 16 gauge or maybe an 18 gauge. It's pretty, you know, it's a small wire, but it's considerably smaller than those number 10s. So let's try this, and I'll put it in there. I'll put it in, run it into the stripping gauge. Grab it off, stripped it slick as it can possibly do it. I mean, you couldn't really ask for anything better. All right, here's a really tiny wire. I don't know what this would be, at least a 20 probably. It's pretty small. Stripped it just as perfectly as it could possibly strip it. And it's instant. So that part of this tool I love. I got to be honest, I'm not crazy about this, the battery part of it, but all you got to do is just take the batteries out of it and you're good to go. In my opinion, the voltage detection is nice. I mean, if you were in a pinch and this was the only thing you had for voltage detection, well, it's certainly better than nothing, you know, for sure. And possibly this cord was a little hard to detect on. Let's try it again. Let's try the camera cord again. Here's the camera cord. Let's just try it again. Give it a fair shake here. So I'll turn it on. And let's put it up there. Maybe I didn't do it right. See, it's picking it up right away. So it's working. So I shouldn't knock that feature. The feature itself works okay, I think, but I do not like this extended button. This button sticking out is not a good design. They ought to change that design. So, but in terms of stripping, now by the way, it also has crimpers, and the crimpers look great. It's got both kinds of crimpers. It's got the ones that are insulated that you can crimp right here, and it's got the non-insulated crimpers also. And it even tells you that, and it has the gauges here. So these are probably going to find their way into my tool belt. I like them that much. I'm not crazy about that one feature. That's the only thing I'm not crazy about, but that's not a negative exactly. It's a feature that I probably just won't use. That's all it is. In terms of the rest of it, this is a quality tool. You can tell it's quality made. It's made very durable. It's made very well. It strips the wire great. Here's another wire that we can just test it on. Stripped it perfectly. Here's another wire. Yeah, it's in terms of stripping, I think this might be the best stripper I've ever seen, really. It's really good on stripping. I'm being awkward here. My hands are hurting and I can't get a hold of it right. There we go. But yeah, it strips it perfectly. So the stripper part of this and the cutter part of this is absolutely excellent. I suspect that the crimping will be just perfectly fine. Also, it looks like it would be. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't work just fine. Like I said, the only thing that I'm not crazy about is that button sticking out. If that button wasn't sticking out, I'd give this thing a 200% rating. If that button sticking out, I got to knock it down by maybe 1 star and give it a 4-star rating. Even if you accept that, you could consider it a 5-star rating by the fact that it does have the voltage detection that no other pair of these I've ever seen has. So first I want to say thank you to Tesmen for sending me these. I think they are going to find their way in my toolkit. I've got a lot of fine electrical tools already but these are so good in terms of stripping, it's going to be hard to pass them up. I like them that much. They're really good on the stripping part. The crimping is handy to have all in one tool, and the cutter in one tool. It's hard to beat this, I got to be honest. So I hope you enjoyed this review. I think it was a fair and honest review. So I think you're going to find these on the Products I Use page of my website, www.rosastringworks.com, and then look for the Products I Use tab, and you'll find them there, I am positive. My friends, I thought I'd show you that I did put these pliers in my toolkit. They're going in right here. I do like these strippers that much, so they're going to find their place in here. Let me show you what I took out of that spot. I took out these junk strippers. Now, I didn't really use these much ever anyway. Every once in a while I'd use them for something. I'll tell you what I used them for. It's got threads on this part right here, and you can cut off a threaded screw with these. That's really what I use these for. And this is another pair of those same kind of strippers that are automatic, but these don't work worth a hoot compared to the Tesmens. The Tesmens are 5 times better than these. So there you go. And that's the truthful review. Thank you, Tesmen. We'll see you on the next video.